Hey there. Welcome back to Storytellers. I'm your host, John Hartness. I am the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, an independent press based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I write a few things as well. My guest today is my friend and author, Patrick Dugan. We will be publishing his third book, Storm Shattered, Shattered Storm.
Storm Shattered.
Storm Shattered. We don't want to talk about how many times I redid the cover because I kept getting them flipped.
If it makes you feel, everybody has flipped it back and forth about 30 times.
Oh, yeah. You can see over Patrick's shoulder the fantastic covers that Davy Beauchamp did for the first two books in the series. And I think the third cover, which I will try to remember to drop in like over here, over his shoulder for a minute so you guys can see it. I think this third cover is the best of the series.
Oh, I agree. It is fantastic. He is such a talented artist.
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was my first book and it was his first artwork for Falstaff.
Yeah.
So it really was kind of kismet. I mean, because I got great covers and he's just fantastic. I just love him.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we were moving towards getting Stormforged ready to go, and I was like, who are we going to get to do this cover? And then I think we ended up at a con with Davey, and I saw something he did, and I was like, that's what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And Davey's part of our what we call the North Carolina Mafia. We travel to a lot of the same conventions. He's one of my annual Dragon Con roommates. Although last year at Dragon Con, we literally never saw each other while we were both conscious. I left his name at check-in. He PayPal'd me money at the end of the weekend. And by the time I got in, he was asleep, and by the time I got up, he was gone. And we did not see each other. I think we saw each other for like 10 seconds passing in the little hallway going into the room one morning, but never in full light the whole weekend. I mean, he could have cut his hair off for all I know. It was not until he saw pictures on Facebook that he knew my hair was purple and blue last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But we're not here to talk about my hair because, as I've said, I got more roots than Jimmy Fallon right now.
I can take care of that. I just did my daughter's hair violet purple from Zombie Snot the other day.
I saw, and it looks great.
It came out awesome. And it was the first time I'd ever dyed hair, and she's like, all right, my hair looks bad. I guess I'll let you take care of it. And I was like, okay. And she's like, all right. But it really did come out good. So.
I mean, the absolute worst case, Hair Clout, who makes Zombie Snot, is local.
Yep.
We can get an emergency appointment, which is what I did the first time I went there. Susie, my wife, dyed my hair, and the box was purple. The hair was not.
That was the pink hair.
Yeah, I saw you that night, didn't I?
Yep, I did. Yes. I was like, you said purple. And you're like, yeah, don't talk about it.
Yeah. 2 days later, it was purple.
It was purple.
Yeah. So let's talk about The Darkest Storm. This is your first trilogy. This is your first series.
It is.
Tell the folks at home what you're doing, Roger.
So Darkest Storm is set in a universe where the gifted, who are people with powers, have been outlawed. There was a major terrorist attack that destroyed, a good portion of the world, and the regular people of the world banded together and basically said, we're done. You guys are killing people left and right. And so they outlawed them. So they have collars that they wear. Every kid in the planet at 5 years old is tested. If you are gifted, you are collared right there, then and there, and you are sent off to a detention town. There's 7 of them around the world. And so, and each one has a fully functioning prison to lock down gifted people. So if you become a problem or you're too powerful, they slap you in there and you're never seen again. Otherwise, you're allowed to live and work menial jobs as a gifted. So the military basically, runs the towns to make sure that nobody gets out.
So it's a little like Handmaid's Tale meets X-Men.
Yes, exactly. The big thing in Stormforged is they have what they call Saturday Night Showdown, which every Saturday they have one of the gifted go in and go through like trials. And then every year or so they have the Gauntlet, which is they take one of the super powerful ones and they have 10 matches with the express purpose of killing them off before the 10th match. And so our main character finds out his dad is going to be killed in one of these matches, so he decides he's going to get him out. But he doesn't even know what his powers are at that point, so it causes some problems.
Because he got collared when he was 5.
5, yeah. So, and he was one of the lucky ones. His mom went with him, so at least he had support, where most of the kids live in a dorm.
Ah, okay, yeah. Now, with the book that's coming out now, Storm Shattered, where are we? Don't spoil too much, because we want people to pick up the whole series, but...
So, Storm Shattered is a ticking clock book.
Okay.
So they finally get to a place where they think they're safe. There's a lot that goes on in the second book that sets up the third book, but they finally think they're safe. They're like, okay, they're kind of arguing about, are they going to fight? Are they going to hide? What are they going to do? And then the death ray that caused the darkest storm in the first place starts firing again.
Okay.
So in the underground, which is the gifted that got away, all live in the cities where they were, all the destroyed cities. So the death ray starts hitting the same cities again and starts killing more gifted. So they have to go and try to find a way to stop the death ray before it kills everybody. And they don't know what's going to happen if it gets to the end of the cycle and nobody stopped it.
So where did this originally come from? Were you a big comic book nerd growing up?
Oh yeah, I loved comic books growing up. I went to a school where they taught us phonetically how to read, so I could not read in 3rd grade. So my dad was like, "You can read anything you want as long as you're reading." So my mom gave me Swiss Family Robinson. My dad gave me X-Men. So I started reading comic books like crazy. But
that would have probably been early Chris Claremont X-Men.
Yes. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I had from like 110 on at one point. Nice. So just absolutely fantastic. The storytelling, the characters, and then I dug through all the Marvel stuff and just really, really good stuff. And so, but Darkest Storm actually came from Power Rangers.
Okay.
Because Nicholas, my son, was 4 when I started writing this book, which he's just turned 17. So
yeah, I've been working on this for a while.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, we're sitting there and we're watching like the 80th episode in a row. And I'm thinking, if I live in Angel Grove, I'm either like out of here because every day I've got a giant robot smashing through the town against some crazy alien monster, or I'm going to be like, Power Rangers, go someplace else. And so then I started thinking,
Fletcher syndrome, man.
Right. You don't want to be around Jessica Fletcher because your likelihood of being murdered is high.
Yeah, if she books a night in your B&B, just close.
Yep. It'll save you a death count.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, I'm like, well, it's the same thing with superheroes. So I was like, well, what happens when the normal people just get fed up? And they're like, screw this. You guys are rampaging through, you're the top of the food chain. You're destroying people left and right. The supervillains are coming in and, the death count from the heroes sometimes is worse than the supervillains. And there's one character in the book called Titan whose only power is to become hugely kind of hawkish, but he likes to use buses to destroy people, destroy stuff. Well, he doesn't wait for the people to get off the buses. So it kind of pisses people off. So
kind of like Superman dropping a building on somebody, but not waiting for people to evacuate the building.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Oh, and
was like,
screw you, Zack Snyder.
yeah.
If you're watching,
Although make sure, the thing is, Zach, if you are watching, make sure you like the video, share it on social media, and for God's sakes, make Melissa happy and click
ring
the
the
bell
bell.
so that you make Melissa, our editor, happy, because God knows it makes her life if you ring the bell.
Yeah, it does. She really wants people to ring the bell. So Zach, ring the bell, and then screw you for how you wrote Superman.
Yeah, I know.
If I get hate mail from Zack Snyder, it will be in the top 5 most surreal messages I've gotten.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So now this is the third book in the series, and I'll admit to being a little bit jealous because you're actually doing something that I have yet to do in my career.
What's that?
Finish a damn series.
Well, yours just keep growing because the Black Knight Chronicles were supposed to be 6 books, and you're at 8. So
yeah, but we are stopping at 9. That thing is over by the end. I keep saying next year, but deadlines and deliveries keep getting pushed because the world keeps ending. So by 2022, that series is over.
You have Robert Jordan syndrome. 3 books, 5 books, 7, 10, 12, 13. Okay.
Yeah, if they were giving me Robert Jordan money, I would keep writing.
You would. Wouldn't we all?
Mm-hmm. Hell, if he hadn't gotten a terminal illness, Robert Jordan would have kept writing.
Oh, yeah.
So what's next? What is coming out? I know you've started doing some self-published steampunk stuff. Yep. What's that about?
So Fate and Flux is about a blacksmith who loses his arm. And so he ends up having to create a replacement arm. And the ruling class in this country is all mages. So he ends up becoming part of a society that kind of is the police for the mages. So that book is out. It's called Fate and Flux. I've got a new 3-book novella series coming out in that universe, which is the first one's called Of Cogs and Conjuring. So the first book is about Quinn, who's the protagonist from the first novel, from Fate and Flux, and then it's going to shift to Victoria, who's an alchemist, and then the third book will be Brule, who is a cranky old man. So
you're writing yourself into the story.
I am. I figured, I need something. But they're fun books. They're short. I just wanted to do. I'd read so much steampunk and I really loved it, but like Sherry Priest, Bone Shaker, those books, Dreadnought, are fantastic. And then everybody went in and wrote the exact same thing, and so I wanted to do something a little different. So I mixed in some magic, and the magic system works based on your talents, not just it's not one size fits all. So Quinn actually uses blacksmithing and artificing to create his magic.
All right.
Opposed to, everybody just goes hocus pocus and it works. So those are in edits if I ever get them done. So Storm Shattered definitely took top billing for my time lately.
Yeah, well, we initially had a release date of the end of this month so that we could have the book at Con Carolinas, but we'll have the book for the time that Con Carolinas exists.
Yep.
Just won't have physical Con Carolinas to be at.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks. It was my first time as a guest at Con Carolinas, which is my home convention because I live in Charlotte. And so, to not be able to go to the first one, I've been to a bunch of them, but to actually be a guest and get to hang with all the people who are coming in for it is really depressing. I mean, we really have a con family that we see, you and I, Darren, Jim, all the, there's like 20, 30 people. Joelle comes down for it, JD Blackrose, who go and read Pluck and Cover. It's fantastic.
Best opening line ever.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you what it is, folks. You're gonna need to go check out Pluck and Cover by JD Blackrose. Best opening line ever.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And Monster Hunter Mom is fantastic too.
Yeah.
If you like Bubba, you'll love that one. So it's, I
And
mean,
Tamsin
there's just a lot
Silver
of
was
people.
coming with her new Billy the Kid book.
Yep, which are
We were
really
gonna we were gonna have Chris Jackson's new Dragon book. We were gonna have DB Jackson, David Coe's new Isle book. We were gonna have Rod Belcher's new Golgotha book. You know, this was going to be a big launch con for us. So it stinks that we don't get to have that energy and that excitement. It doesn't, however, hurt my feelings that I'm not launching 8 books on the same weekend again, because I've done that the past couple of years at Con Carolinas. It makes things a little tense. Right about now, we're shooting this on the 13th of May. Right about now, I would be at the point of, okay, if it's not done and ordered, we don't have it for Con Carolinas. But man, I remember one year, I literally took the proofreads from the author. This wasn't yours. This was a different book. I took the proofreads, I turned it around in 30 minutes. I did 30 minutes of layout on that book and got it uploaded so that it could get through the process so that I could FedEx books.
Yep. All 3 of my books have come out at Con Carolinas.
Yeah.
So all mine have been part of the 8-book rush that seems to happen every year. So, which I've had a lot of really good company. So, because there's a lot of fantastic books that Falstaff puts out. But my first one came out at Con Carolinas, and it was just like, hi, I've got a book.
Yeah.
So, and I'm standing there with, all these just amazing authors, and I'm like, I got one book, so.
I remember that, man. I remember when I had one book. And when I started off, it was me peddling books of poetry at art shows. And whoo, you want to talk about a tough sell. Get $20 for a volume of poetry at an art show.
Yeah, that's it was really. Yeah, that's how come you're so good at selling now.
Hold on, I think we're glitching. Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yep. So we'll pause for to let the internet catch back up. Okay, you seem to be moving in time now.
Yeah.
The wonders of technology, folks.
Yeah. Everybody's on their Zoom calls.
It is, it's 7:30 in the evening, East Coast. Yeah, everybody's doing their Zoom calls. We gotta make sure we got to make sure we're done before 8, because Jonathan Mayberry's doing a thing with Pocono Writers Club tonight, and that'll crash every.
Yeah. Yeah,
Plus,
it's gonna be good.
To see that.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So what are you reading nowadays?
I've been doing Mark Lawrence's series.
Which one?
Dispel Illusion is the latest one.
Okay.
So there's 3 books in it. It's time traveler Nick Hayes is a 16-year-old kid. He's got cancer. He plays D&D like crazy. And his self from 40 years in the future comes back to tell him that he needs to invent time travel. And so
I don't know this series.
Impossible something or other. They're all on my Kindle, so.
All right. So not Book of the Ancestor.
No.
Prince of Fools is the one I've read, and I dug that. Oh, Impossible Times, the series that starts with one word kill.
Yep. And they're all D&D spells. One word kill, Dispel Illusion, and Limited Wish.
Okay.
So
so full disclosure, I have that on my Kindle. I couldn't get into it at the beginning. But what you just told me about the premise, I was like, okay, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. Once you get past the beginning, the first few chapters, I think, because he's setting it up,
Mm-hmm.
Nick is in the hospital with, leukemia. So, not really cheery stuff, but he does a really good job to kind of motor through and get you to the part where you start realizing what's going on with it. So just a really, really fun read. I've been tearing through those.
Well, I was looking for something new because I just finished Deep Storm, which is a Lincoln Child novel. I finished that last night. So,
and I'm starting Jennifer Estep's first book. I read Brightburn of Magic, I think it is, in that series. But I just started the Kill the Queen.
Oh man,
so
those books are so good.
Well, you recommended them in your 5-minute book review, so I was like, all right, I gotta go read those now.
I
So
blew
that's what I
through
did.
all 3 of those in a week. I chewed up that entire trilogy. It's very much fantasy on the Ray Feist, Tad Williams, Kings of the Wild vein, that kind of fun adventure fantasy. As opposed to, darker stuff.
Yeah, and it's fun to be, it's like, Darkest Storm can get a little grim in places, but I try to make sure that the humor comes through it, because nobody wants to just read a slog.
No. I mean, we've got Cormac McCarthy for that.
Yeah. If you want to be depressed during a pandemic, go read The Road. If that doesn't get you jumping off a bridge, nothing will.
It took me like almost a year to get through that book.
Oh, it is.
I felt like I was walking with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was horrible. I mean, just and every time you think, oh, there's a little ray of hope, it just gets crushed. And it's like,
yeah, it's like, wow, you literally have wiped your ass with my soul so many times. Yeah. Oh, beautiful writer, but man, that's some dark shit.
Yeah, that's a tough read. Tough read.
Yeah.
So, that one I will never go back to.
No.
So, I mean, I've read certain books over and over, but I won't. That one, no. That will never happen. So,
no, I'm not rereading that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of other books, you've got some stuff that you're working on. You're still working on the submission process, the querying process. We haven't really dug into that at all on this show. We've talked about a little on some of my other YouTube shows. What's that like? Because you've been pretty seriously querying agents for off and on for a while.
Well, geez, Stormforge went 2 years. So I've been querying pretty much nonstop since 2015. With, you obviously, you had read Stormforged and liked it enough to publish it, which I really appreciate. Right now I went through about a year's worth of submissions with my Cyberpunk Fairy book. So, basically I spent, I don't know, probably a week, 10 days, and I just researched agents. Every night I'd come home from work and I'd sit down and I'd go through and say, okay, who does science fiction, who does fantasy, who do they do? And the Cyberpunk heist book is set in a world of the hidden people that have left Earth for because it's polluted. And so, but I really love Leverage, Six of Crows, the Gentleman Bastard books, and I wanted to write something, a heist book like they are. And so I was like, but you can't. I am not going to step into the ring with Lee Barduga and Scott Lynch. That's just suicide. So I was like, I want to do something, that I love, is an homage to, especially Six of Crows, that kind of multiple POV. So I wrote Dragonfire Gambit, which is cyberpunk mixed with all the Fae.
Okay.
So cyberpunk fairy book. So I went through, I found, probably 30 agents, 40 agents that represent sci-fi. I went through and kind of ranked them. So like Lee Barduga's agent, I put towards the top of the list because
Sure.
obviously she likes that type of book. And so I went through and then I developed a query letter. I made sure people read it like crazy. I sent it to all sorts of different people to read. Same thing with my synopsis, because the key, I think, to querying is making sure you are prepared before somebody drops it on you and say, okay, I want you to go ahead and give me the full book. And you're like, oh, yeah, I haven't edited it yet. No. You have to, the book's been edited 3 times. My query letter's been run by many people. Synopsis is done. It's like I've got everything in place. So then it's just a matter of just emailing out and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And so I got a lot of hits. Kristen Nielsen came back and she was like, I love this idea. I love your pages. She's like, it doesn't fit what I sell right now.
Right.
And she's like, oh my God, but please find an agent for this. Well, after a year, I had kind of exhausted the agents I thought were good fits for it. So I wrote an urban fantasy about witches in Asheville, stopping the demon lord from coming through and destroying humanity. And so now I'm shopping that. So I've got some agents who have expressed some interest in it.
Cool.
So I'm just waiting on those to come back. So, really, it can be really trying because it's a lot of rejection, and you spend a lot of time putting it out there, and then you get people who just you get back a form letter that says no thanks. Sometimes I've gotten asks for partials or fulls, and then they're like, oh my God, these are great, and then they're like, yeah, I don't think it fits with my list right now. So but it should get published. It's like, thanks.
Yeah.
I had one agent get to the point where I thought I was getting representation, and then she quit. So
Oh.
it's like, it just, you get to the point where it's like it's going to happen or it's not. And really, it's the right word in the wrong ear. You just have to get some of his luck.
Oh, a ton of this whole industry is a ton of luck. If
Yeah.
Yes, hard work is a huge part of it, but also you have to get lucky. You have to find the right person at the right time to believe in this project and be able to sell it.
Yep.
For me, the process of getting tired of querying agents ended after about a month. I was far less patient, which led me to self-publish for 6 years before I started Falstaff. And that worked out fine for me. And I've always said that if I ever end up with an agent, it will be sideways.
Yeah.
Just because that's my kind of my whole brand.
The thing is that honestly, and take it for what it's worth, your mileage may vary. I actually think starting with Falstaff was huge for me. I got to work with great editors. I got to work with you. I got to work with Melissa. I got great cover artists, and it was low stress. I wasn't under the gun. I didn't have a New York publisher changing everything on me or saying, well, okay, we want to move this book into LGBTQ, so go rewrite it. It was like, the book was there, you guys liked it, we tweaked it, Aaron did a great job with the first 2, and Vanessa did a fantastic job with this last one, making sure that it was really, really good, it's solid. You cannot, you don't get a lot of that feedback or that kind of control when you're with New York. And so I think
one of the things I really feel like a small press can bring to the table, part of our job is to develop authors to then go to bigger presses.
Right.
I've told all of you guys, I want you to sell a big book to a big press, get a massive advance, hit the New York Times list, and we will all get paid on the backlist.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. And the thing is the money really probably is better with working with the small presses than it is with New York, because
it can be.
Yeah, I mean, but at least you're getting something. If you go and you sell like crazy and you move books, you get paid. You're not working off a royalty, and you're not having your books returned and then they dock your royalty payments for it. All that stuff. So I have been really, really blessed. It took me over 8 years to write the first book. Unbreakable Storm took me about 5 months. Storm Shadow took me 2, because I walked up to you at Con Carolinas last year and you said, "Oh yeah, I need that book by the end of July." And I went, okay. I've got 1 chapter written in it, but it was done at the end of July. Yeah. If nothing else, I am a fast writer, and my plots usually are really solid. It's my grammar and my word choice sometimes lacks.
Mine's repetition. The thing that I get beaten on is, okay, you've said this a lot. I'm like, okay. Well, go back through and take out, and it's a different word every book.
Yep.
Go through and take out this. You've used it 500 times. It's like, okay. It's a 50,000 word book. I said, okay.
Yes, Vanessa pinged me on Swooped. Cyclone Ranger flies. He swoops in 40 times in one book. And she's like, he cannot swoop in 40 times. I'm like, okay, I promise I'll take it out. So then it's coming up with, and the other one was, I never talked about Tommy feeling pain when he was fighting.
Oh.
And so she was like, although it was really funny because, this is the difference when you work with editors. It's really funny because, I'm working with Vanessa, and Vanessa's like, why isn't he like feeling this? So I'm going through and like, okay, it hurts. And she's like, okay, now you need to use a different word. So I went back and changed it all. And then Paul Barrett, it does my copy edits, and he goes, okay, we get it. It hurts. That one out. So I'm like, it's just really, every book is different. Every editor is different.
Absolutely.
And it's like, it's just such a good experience that I've had.
And at least with us, I can't speak for for us and for Bellbridge, which is basically who I modeled the way we run our editorial after. You're assigned a lead editor, and then when they're done with it, when they say, okay, book's done, then it goes to a copy editor. And the copy editor their job isn't to fix the story. Mm-hmm. Their job is to fix the words and make sure everybody has the same eye color from the beginning of the book to the end. And then it goes to a proofreader. So it's getting 3 sets of eyes. Yep. And we feel like that's really important, that it be 3 different people as often as possible, because everybody's going to catch different things.
Right.
You and I have looked over the same back cover copy time and again. And then Aaron will email me after the description goes up on Amazon and says, so you misspelled this. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Yep. And it happens. I just finished Page Proofs.
Right.
And my mom loves the series. I know that everybody's mom loves it. But, so she said, can I read it? And I was like, well, I got the Page Proofs. Well, she used to be a proofreader.
Okay.
So I sent it to her. So sent me a things that I missed. I'm like, after 6 rounds of editing, we had a line that said, the hay bale explored.
Yep. Instead of exploded.
And I'm like, 6 times we've missed that. I'm like, yep. But,
but then you sent me back the list, and it was 10 changes and 100,000 words. So I was like, That's
We did
pretty good.
Yeah.
There are still typos in there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Someone will find them.
Oh, yeah. And then
They
they'll
will
let me know
message
about it.
me. They will message me on Facebook, and I will say, thank you. I appreciate your diligence.
Yes.
And then I will delete the email.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and sometimes it isn't even an error.
Yeah.
Like if you're using, the one thing that I think editors and authors struggle with is that what is voice, like especially in dialogue, versus what is grammatic.
Oh, yeah.
And so Vanessa would always say, like, this should be this word, but you can ignore it because it's dialogue. And but you get people who are like, that should be a different word. And it's like, no, because they are uneducated. So they are saying it that way. Or
part of our house style guide is that all right is 2 words if it's narrative, but it's acceptable as 1 word in dialogue.
Yep.
And that's a decision that we had to make, because technically, grammatically, it's always 2 words.
Yeah.
But in dialogue, it makes sense for it to be 1 word with 1 L at some places. So
yeah, I'm still trying to get cockwobble into one of my books because I know it's in the style guide.
There are a lot of manufactured profanities in the style guide, and I think every one of them is mine.
It is. Looking through the style guide is an educational experience if you are not versed in profanity.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite copy editor stories. God, I don't remember. I think it was one of the Black Knight books. I was making a lot of X-Men references. Well, as you know, the X-Men is multiple things. You can be referring to the group of fictional characters that are the X-Men. Well, that's not going to be italicized.
Right.
You could be referring to the comic book titled X-Men. That would be italicized. Same for the movie. Well, I did all 3 in one book. And then we had copy edits. And my copy editor was not a comic books person. So there were some back and forth notes about, no, we don't italicize it here. Yes, I know we italicize it 2/3 of the time, and we don't 1/3 of the time.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Yeah, just time for a different copy editor.
Said that too. Said that too, but that was a tense issue.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
No, like the issue was with a specific tense. They tended to add, they wanted to add a lot more copulas and had done this. And I was like, I took those out. I worked really hard to take those out. I'm not putting them back in. I just put a note at the beginning of the document that said, I'm rejecting every one of these changes.
Yeah, I can't blame you.
Well, and then my publisher went back to and said, and added it into the style guide for my series, that we don't do this.
Right.
And that's what you were saying. It's a voice thing. And we have a hierarchy. Grammar should be correct. But if the Chicago Manual of Style disagrees with typical American grammar, Chicago Manual of Style wins. If the voice disagrees with the Chicago Manual of Style, voice trumps CMOS. House style trumps voice, and Harkness trumps house style, because I pay the bills.
It's because you're the head motherfucker.
Yeah, I am the HMFIC. Which reminds me, I had to do royalties this month.
Yay!
Yeah, yay! Everybody gets paid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun, because you've been with us almost since the beginning. Yours was one of the first.
I was the second. Emily and Sarah were first, and I think I was second.
I don't remember. I think Pawn's Gambit was before you.
Yeah.
Whoa. I just got a really weird audio thing, and I think it was me because I'm screwing with cables.
Do that.
Yeah. All right. So where can people find you?
So patrickdugan.net is the easiest place. Sign up for my newsletter. This month I will be running a huge giveaway around Storm Shattered. So I will probably be giving away 2 or 3 full hardcover signed editions for people. And basically all you have to do is click a button.
Nice.
So
and people who sign up for your newsletter get a free Darkest Storm short story, don't they?
Yes, I do. Reaper, which is the Genesis story for the main bad guy. Facebook, I'm at P_Dugan on Twitter. So, all the normal channels. I'm on Instagram. Most of everything is other than Twitter, is Patrick Dugan Author. So you can find anywhere.
You can find links to the Darkest Storm trilogy at falstaffbooks.com.
Yep. And in the show links.
And yes, down below. Not on my junk.
No, not on his junk, please. No.
But I am wearing pants for this.
Wow.
Well, I went grocery shopping earlier today, so I'm still...
We had to be in Plakeland.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to finish it off with my quick Twitter story about...
Yeah.
So Sean McGuire is one of my absolute favorite authors.
Right.
Wayward Children, Encrypted. I've met her a couple times. We paneled. At the release weekend for Stormforged, I gave her a copy of the book.
Right.
And I said, let me sign it. And she said, you aren't signing it with that pen. It's not acid free.
And that is such a Shannon thing to say.
It is. And so it's become a joke. I actually have acid-free pens right here that I take to all my signings because, you don't sign books with pens that aren't acid-free.
I just assume that my pens are acid-free because I've licked them and I haven't gotten high yet. So if they're not acid-free, I got the crappy ones.
If you're going to get the good pens, you probably have to get them from Richard Cadre because I'm sure his get you high.
I would not be surprised.
So the other morning I wake up, I get up, I check my social media, and I've got like 22 notifications. I'm like, what the heck? I look, Shauna McGuire had read the copy of Stormforged I gave her and went crazy talking about how much she liked it. And I was like, oh my God. So, it's like, she is one of my top 5 authors. And and then she actually pinged me on Twitter, and she actually went over the things that she thought were troublesome for her.
Okay.
She said they're not problems with the book, they are troublesome with her. And then she said, I'm really sorry it took me so long to read the first book, but now I'm really excited because I don't have to wait long for book 3 to come out.
That's like, right.
Okay. So that was really awesome to get that kind of feedback from somebody I really respect as an author. So. And
it's also always really important when people are giving you feedback that some things bother some people that don't bother others. And that's why with particularly fraught topics, we bring in sensitivity readers and we do things like that. We've added sensitivity readers to several books because you don't want to misrepresent any group of people. You don't want, because it alienates readers.
Right.
And let's be real, we want their money.
Right.
And we don't just want their money once, we want their money forever.
And we want to be inclusive of people, and that's what I was talking with Shannon about. And she said, these couple things bothered me, but it's because of who I am, not because there was anything wrong with the book. And so, and the thing is, when I started Darkest Storm, I was writing it for, young teen. And it has morphed over time. So but the first book is much more of a high-end YA new adult, if you want to go with that title, than the rest of the books are. The rest of them are adult. So there's a lot more thematic adult situations in those books than there are in the first one.
Yeah. That was something that we talked about when I bought the series. I said, okay, so here's the deal. You're going to age the character 2 years. You're going to add back in all the F-bombs that you cut, and we're never, ever calling this a YA book again. It's now a superhero book.
And everybody calls it YA.
And that's fine. Like, other people can.
Yeah.
And that's a market-driven small press
right.
thing. Small presses don't do as well with books that are classified as YA. So we market it as a superhero book that has young characters, and everybody else can draw their own conclusions.
Yeah. And so, it's just really nice to get feedback from anybody. I love having, I've had kids run up to my table and be like, "Oh my God, I love this book. You're great."
Yeah.
But, which is, I've got a letter sitting here from one of my fans who sent it to me. And it's, it's just really, really nice to get feedback from people who've read the book, but when it's when
it's somebody who's legit one of the top pros in the field, because Shannon she's a multiple award-winning author. She's one of my favorite authors too.
Yeah.
So she's a hell of a writer. She's been a pro in the field for a long time. She's published by multiple different big New York houses. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a great deal, man.
Yeah, I was really excited. So, and she is not the type that would pull punches. If she did not like your book, she would tell you.
Well, she and I actually got in a conversation on Twitter one day about the fact that if she doesn't love a book, she just doesn't finish it.
Mm-hmm.
She won't. She's like, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't finish any book, because if I don't love it, I hate it. And I don't read things I hate. So you get a big check mark just for her finishing the book.
Right. Well, and then she was like, "I can't wait for the next ones." I'm like, "I will send them to you."
Yeah.
So yeah, she's fantastic author. If you haven't read Wayward Children, it is a must read.
It's beautiful.
It is. They're just absolutely beautiful books, and they're short. So if you don't have a lot of time, they're a great read, and they're short. So.
And Hermira Grant stuff, the Newsflesh series, I keep vacillating back and forth, but it's right up there with Jonathan Mayberry's Rotten Ruin as those are my favorite zombie books.
Yep. Yeah. My daughter Emily loves Rotten Ruin. So
I do too. It's my favorite stuff of Jonathan's. Cool. Well, Patrick, thanks for spending some time with us.
Oh, thank you. It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's been a good ride. We'll have this out roughly at the same time as the book is launching. So y'all watching, get out there and buy something, will you? Come on, buy a book. Help a brother out. I mean, he's going to need another frame for the wall now that he's got a fourth book. So those things ain't cheap. And I'll be back next week with Chris Jackson and Dragon Nemesis. So until then, bye.